Hello and welcome. My name is Mark Radham, UK National Sales Manager for NEC. Within this video, we're doing an introduction to the MyCalls Call Centre on the SV9100. Now, before we get under the hood and really understand what the MyCalls Call Centre can offer, I need to point out a couple of things. If you've not viewed the MyCalls Manager video, go back and have a look at that, because all that features and all the functionality that the MyCalls Manager offers carries over into the MyCalls Call Centre, okay? Secondly, your business, the call centre may only represent 25% of the staff. We're going to provide you the MyCalls Manager free of charge within the MyCalls Call Centre that will also allow you to measure and monitor and manage those people outside of the contact centre. So it's well worth a watch. So with that said, let's get over and have a look at how the MyCalls Call Centre can work for your business. MyCalls Call Centre, it's all about taking control, empowering supervisors to change the dynamics of the contact centre, ensuring the contact centre is working in a way that is right for your business. Now, we provide you real-time information so you can have a real-time management. If we was to see that we had, let's say, 10 abandoned calls, so 10 people have phoned in and we've not answered them, so it's 10 lost opportunities. What good is that information to you in 24 hours? It's probably not. The horse has already bolted. But if you've got it in real time, you can understand why that's happened. You can phone them back, you can apologize, and hopefully deal with their inquiry and much more. So real-time information is power as far as I'm concerned. The image on the right-hand side represents just one template. Okay, and we can make it as busy or as sparse as you want, and you could have multiple templates if you so wished. So you could see other departments, maybe if you're a managing director that wants to see how every department is working, and you may want to have one template that is the business as a consolidated view if you want. More about templates as we go along. Multiple supervisors. So if you have supervisors in control of departments, we can empower them that they only measure, monitor, and manage the people that they are responsible to. It's just a supervisor's license. That's all it is. If you just have one supervisor that controls all the departments throughout the business, that's not a problem. But multiple supervisors do come into play quite frequently. Providing wallboards, it's quite interesting how the dynamics of the individuals will change. If you was to put a wallboard within the sales team or the technical team, so it allows them to see how many calls have been taken, how many calls are answered, how many calls are still in the queue prior to them going off to lunch. They can see now they've got visibility, and hopefully they are responsible people and they won't move away from the desk while the system has got a whole host of calls to be answered. Within the application, there are hundreds of reports available, and they can be scheduled to go to an inbox, a printer, any given time, or email address, whenever you wish. As I mentioned, there are hundreds of them. You can highlight some of the reports as favorites, so yet again, making it easy to, on the fly, get to that report and run it. If you wanted to do that in real time, not a problem at all. Okay, so reports can be scheduled to go to an inbox or to a printer. Mark it as a favorite, and when you come out of a meeting, you want to try and understand what happened an hour ago, you can go to that report and investigate, and hopefully everything is as it should be. Now, without doubt, management by exception is my favorite subject. Nobody have I ever met that's got 8 hours a day to look at a piece of software waiting for something to go wrong. You as a business may have service level agreements that you've put in place for your own business. So you like to answer the calls within 10 seconds, as an example. Now, if it wasn't, what would happen? what we can do, we can generate an alarm, and that alarm could be a little notification at the bottom right hand of your screen. It could be an audible alarm. It could even be an email. So if you're away from the business, or as a supervisor, you may be doing your emails and something is not quite right, you're going to be notified that that situation has broke out that needs your attention. Okay, so it could be you're not answering the phone within 5 rings. It may well be that me, or Mark, I should say, I've taken my phone off hook because I want a quiet Thursday afternoon. It may be that we've set a task for the telesales person to make 10 calls an hour, and in the first working hour, he's only made 5. By getting an alarm and an email notifying him of that event, it allows me to go and investigate and understand the reasons why, and hopefully in the next 7 working hours, that individual has hit his 10 calls an hour. And equally, if you're thinking he may be doing 15 calls an hour, then it's, if the conversation is not how you really want it to go, you can be notified of those sort of things. So management by exception is a fantastic feature that allows you to do other things, and if the contact center is doing something that you shouldn't, you're going to be notified. The supervisor is allowed to manage the agent, so they can, put them in different queues, change the skill sets, make them unavailable with reasons, manage the queues, the call routing, the skill-based routing, all within a click of a mouse. There is no need to phone the experts to reprogram the whole of the telephone system. The agent control license allows the supervisors to do that. So it enables you to manage. With that said, let's go off and have a live demonstration on the MyCalls Call Centre. So here we are in the MyCalls Call Centre, and what we have in front of us is a sample template. And as I mentioned previously, we can have multiple templates. Managing director, he may want to see every element of the business. Supervisors may just want to see information that is relevant to their responsibility. So we'll have a look at the templates at the end of this video. So what we're looking at right now, we can see that we've got 4 agents. We've got Jason, Steve, Amy, and Harry. We have 2 groups. We have pilot number 1, which is our sales group, pilot number 2, which is our support. We can see here that we've answered 7 calls in the sales part of the call center today. More alarmingly, we've had 18 abandoned calls. Well, it's not as bad as that, because in the next tile you can see unreturned call is actually 1. So what that's actually telling us, yes, we've had 18 abandoned calls, but 17 of those calls we've either phoned them back or the customers phoned back in. Okay, so this number, hopefully will start to reduce as we start to answer calls or people phone back in. But the abandon rate tile there will continue to show 18, 19 as we go forward throughout the day. But that just gives you an idea how proactive we can be when those situations occur. It may be for whatever reason you're getting bombarded with calls and you haven't got any agents logged in, etc., etc. So as you can see, Jason, Steve, Amy, and Harry are all logged off. So what's the journey going to be like for the customer? So I'm going to use my mobile phone to call in, and I'm going to point out a few things for you. So I'm going to bring the call into the sales department right now and go hands-free. You can see the calls in the queue because it's flashing. We can stop that flashing. Okay, let me just put the phone down there. You'll see in the right-hand side of the screen a little notification that we've not answered our calls within 5 seconds. That's that management by exception that we spoke about. And very shortly, I'll get an email notifying me of that. And that email can go to anybody. And hopefully, there we go, in the right-hand side, somebody will look at that and start to investigate why we're not answering the phone within that service level agreement rule that we put in our management by exception. Okay, so what actually happened there, we brought a call in and obviously we've got no agents logged in. What we can do is provide the caller a a message, an in-queue message. And that message can be different depending on the telephone number that the caller dialed. So again, you could have, good morning, thank you for calling NEC Sales, your call of importance. If they're phoning a different number, hi, thanks for calling NEC Tech Support. And then we gave the positioning queue. We can turn the positioning queue off if you so wish. It's not a problem. And then after a period of time, we can give them a second message if you wanted to, so you can be a little bit more apologetic. So we can be really flexible and nimble in providing messages to callers and hopefully engage with them to make them aware that we know that you're there and waiting to be answered, and we're going to get to you shortly, as opposed to having that ringing and ringing and ringing and the customer thinking, are they ever going to answer? And potentially putting the phone down and phoning a competitor. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is log the agent in, and there's various ways we can do that. Now, on the bottom right-hand side, I've got an agent desktop piece of software that's going to enable me to answer the calls and do some other funky things that we can actually do in the call center. There is a video around the agent desktop. Have a look at that, because that gives us a little bit more flexibility and more information. I'll keep it at that. So the agent's going to log in. You can use the handset, piece of software, or even the supervisor, which I'll show you shortly. And I'm going to log the agent in by using here. I'm going to say log me into the pilot group number 1, which is our sales group, and you can see now Jason is available, ready to take calls. Now, if Jason was on an internal call, that would change internal call, outgoing call, etc. So I'm going to bring a call in, and we're going to this time answer the call. So the call's coming in. You can see it's being presented to Jason, and we're going to answer the call. Now, of course, at this moment in time, we've only got one agent logged in, but we can distribute the calls to in several different ways. We can go to the longest idle agents, so the agent that has been logged in for the longest amount of time, okay, and hasn't taken a call, or based on skill. Now, skill's really good because this could actually broaden the amount of people that could potentially be answering calls when you have this peak of calls that are coming in. So people that are generally in the back office, not part of the call center, if you provide them an agent license, they can we can provide them at a low skill level, and they only come involved into the contact center if those people that have a high and medium skill set are either busy or not logged in. So yet again, just widening the audience within your business that can answer that phone in order for you to maintain that good service level that you desire. So you can see that we've been on this call now for 1 minute and 4 seconds. I'm just going to hang up, and you just watch Jason's status change. Okay, so Jason is now in a position of wrap up. Now, what wrap up is a period of time that allows Jason to recompose himself or enter information into a CRM. Now, we can provide Jason the ability either by the handset or piece of software to extend that wrap up time before he's in a position of availability, as he is now, to take another call. So the wrap up time allows him to recompose himself or do other things before the next call is presented to him. Okay, so this time I'm going to bring a call in, and I'm going to log Steve in. So a supervisor with supervisor control has the ability to log Steve in. So I'm not relying on Steve to click on his software or press the button on his handset. A supervisor can do that. So I can actually say here, well, okay, let's log Steve into all primary groups. So he's going to be taking calls not only for the sales, but also for the support. It's sitting at extension 219, and now he is available to take a call. So let me bring a call in again, because there is another explanation that I want to go through with you. You can see that the call has been in the queue. It's ringing at Steve's extension. We're not going to answer it. After a period of time, that call has moved over to Jason, and equally, we're not going to answer it here. So we end up abandoning the call. You can see the management by exception rules popping up in the right-hand side. And you can see both agents are unavailable and the call still in the queue. So I'm going to abandon the call. The abandon rate is going to go to 20, and the unreturned call will go to 1. So what has actually happened here? The reason why we made them unavailable is because if the next call comes in, what is the use of presenting those calls to Jason and Steve when we know they're not at the desk or didn't answer the call? Okay. On the right hand side, an email making me aware that we've not met our answering time by 5 seconds, and that email can go to anybody. So yeah, we make them unavailable. So the next call comes in, they're going to get their message in queue, and hopefully we can introduce other agents along the way. So I can see that Jason and Steve are behind the desk just talking to one another. They're unavailable. I can overpower them as a supervisor. I can right click and go exit unavailable. Okay. So by doing that, Jason has now been put in a state he's ready to take calls. Okay. I could do exactly the same here with Steve. Okay. I can log Jason off all queues if I wanted to do that. Okay. I'm logging him off all queues. I'm going to log Steve off all queues as well. There we go. So I can log them on, I can log them off, I can make them unavailable, and we'll go back to that unavailable very shortly. If I want to log Jason and Steve back on, I have the ability to do so from a supervisor's position. And the information that's showing me there, I can log them on all the queues. So, you know, Jason can take calls for the sales and support. Or I may just want him to just take support calls. So yet again, I can decide what type of calls he's going to take. I'm going to put him into a sales queue only. Okay, so I can confirm that as done if I wanted to by just going to this icon here. You can see the pilot number 1 has been ticked, and in Steve, we're going to log him into pilot group just number 2. Okay, so Steve is only going to take support calls. Jason's only going to take sales calls. So if I bring a call in on the sales department now, okay, it's ringing at at Jason's extension. Okay, and you'll see that is now going to go to an unavailable state. You see it's not gone elsewhere. Why? Because Steve's only been designed or told, in effect, you're only going to take support calls. But if I see this situation occur, I could change the condition of Steve very, very quickly and make him available to take all calls. So you can see now the call has been delivered to Steve. Okay, we're just going to abandon the call there. So that gives us the ability as a supervisor, if we're seeing all this live information and we can see other departments are being hammered with the amount of incoming calls and the abandon rate is severely high, we can start manipulating what calls the agents are taking. And yet again, with skill-based routing, as I mentioned before, allows us to incorporate other people in the back office, potentially to help the call center out when we have those high peaks of calls. Okay, so going back to this unavailable state. Now, if we wanted to say to Steve, you need to go into a meeting, so I can enter him into an unavailable state, but this time I've got a reason for that. So I've put Steve into an unavailable state, so he's not going to get any calls. Other supervisors and other agents will know Steve is actually in a meeting. Now, the reason why it's good to give reasons why you are going unavailable is that if you're pulling off a report on Steve tomorrow, this afternoon, you know that Steve went into a meeting at 10:59 today and has been in that meeting for however long. Okay. Steve himself can obviously, with an agent desktop, take him out of that unavailable state, or me and Steve have come out of the meeting, so I'm going to make him available again. Yeah, and from an agent desktop, just to prove a point, I can click on here and go available again. If I'm moving away from my desk, I want to give a reason. I'm going to lunch. Yet again, if you didn't give a reason, you are just seen as missing action, unavailable. So when you start to do your due diligence within the reports, at least by the agents giving reasons or supervisors supplying a reason why that individual is not answering calls, it's going to enable you to really dig down deep on why and how long that agent has been his total talk time for the day. It could be 6 hours because he was at lunch for 2. Maybe. Okay, so supervisor control is absolutely key in the contact center. We're not asking you to go into the darkest, deepest programming of the telephone system. We're just giving you the ability to change the dynamic of the contact center with all the information that you see in front of you. So you can change what calls they're actually taking. You can make them unavailable and give them reasons. You can do all sorts of things. Okay. I can right click here. I could have instant messaging. Okay, so yet again, another form of communicating internally with other members of your team or people within the business. Most people can multitask now, so they can talk as well as type at the same time. So you can see there the invitation is being sent to the supervisor, and it allows Jason to start talking to the supervisor, so on and so forth. So it's just internal messaging. Can you help me on a call? Okay, click on send. Okay, now within the contact center, a supervisor can silent monitor a call, and also he can whisper to the agent. So a coaching role, the supervisor could be talking to the individual and coaching him how to deal with that incoming caller without the caller hearing. Okay, so instant message could be a way of instigating that. You can have an emergency key on your handset, so it's pressed and the supervisor's phone rings, etc., etc. So instant messaging is another way to aid communication. Sorry, what I should have pointed out there, you can have templates that can be pre-populated, so it's just a click and all your templates will load. Click on parcel in reception or whatever, hit send, job done. Now, of course, with instant messaging, there could be an element of foul play, abuse going on between agents. Somebody takes a dislike, reports it to the supervisor, the manager, the directors. That information is stored. You can look at it and take the appropriate action. Okay. So just to go back to the abandon rate on the under-return call, I'm going to bring a call in, and this time we're going to answer the call. So you're going to see things that you've seen before. Just want to make sure this is okay. In fact, I've phoned in on the wrong number, maybe. No, I haven't, because it's going to jump over to Steve. There we go. So I'm going to answer this call. You can see it stopped being in the queue. Why? Because we've answered it. We have been talking to my mobile for 6-7 seconds. Let's hang up the call because it's completed. We're now going in a period of wrap up, and this call here, this 2, is going to go down to 0, and you can see there our average answer time is over 10 seconds. That management by exception again. Okay, so you can see real time empowers the supervisor to change the dynamic on the fly. So let's have a look at reports. Now, as I mentioned before, there are hundreds of reports that are already built in. We're not going to go through all of them because, as you'll see, they are quite substantial amount of reports, and it goes on and on and on. Yeah, so yeah, again, you can see all the reports there. Reports can be scheduled to go to your inbox or to a printer at any given time. And you'll see some of the reports there that have stars next to them. So what this indicates to us is that this may be a report that I may want to periodically throughout the day go and have a look at, because I may have been in a meeting. I want to see what's going on. So as opposed to coming into this area and digging out that report after your meeting, if it's a favorite, you can go here, and there they are right there. Okay, so if I want to see a summary of all incoming calls, I can click on that and it will get me the report. Okay, so you can see that we've had a certain amount of calls, and it's taken between 6 and 30 seconds to answer the call. Okay, so having those quick fire favorites makes life easier if you want to interrogate a report prior to the report being sent to you, maybe on a Monday morning. Okay. The next area of that you may want to look at is, again, going to the reports, but you can get a lot of information from within the tile. So I want to see here the 21, what's occurring with these 21 calls that have been abandoned. So I can click within the tile, and let's go to a group summary report, because this is going to give us some vital information. you can see here that I've got a batch of calls that are abandoned between 0 and 5 seconds. I've got another batch of calls that are abandoned between 6 and 30, and a couple more after 30, between 31 and 60 seconds. Why am I telling you this? Well, maybe I need to introduce, if you're not using in-queue messaging, some in-queue messaging in hope that people don't abandon the call. Because if we can acknowledge that they're there, your customers will inevitably hold on that little bit longer. Okay, so yeah, again, 2 messages per queue. They can be different on time, date, telephone number that the caller phoned in on, etc., etc. Now, on this report, I have no indication of what those 21 numbers were. Now, I don't have to go off and look for that report. I can see the 21 numbers are here. I could click on those and it presents me with those 21 calls. Okay, and the thing I look at here is the duration ring time. So we can see that some people here have not been patient. It's 5 seconds, 14 seconds, 32 seconds this person's hanged on for. So you start to get an understanding of what is actually happening. Okay. Incidentally, if we just go to, let's say, another report, so go to my favorites, let's go, let me see, most dialed numbers, see if there's any data in there. Guess what? There isn't. Why? Because we have not made any outbound numbers or calls today. Of course, I'm doing this remotely, but if there were, they'll be all listed there. You'll be able to see who made the call, what duration of the caller take, who did you actually call. It will import the telephone number, and if it's recorded, you'll get a little icon to establish that that call has been recorded, and you can click on that icon even in the report within this state and listen to it if you are given the authority to do so. Okay, so that's the reports. If I want to see the calls in total, yet again, I've got a tab at the bottom here that will allow me to do that. If I just, you can see here, we're actually filtering by calls that have got notes against them. These notes can be applied by the agent or the supervisor. And yet again, they could have listened to this call and thought, what an awesome call that was. So I'm going to share that with my members of staff later. More importantly, we've got a poor call here. Let me listen to it and let's see how we can improve upon that. Is that a poor call from an agent's perspective or the incoming caller's perspective? But yet again, I can add notes to the calls. There is a recording on MyCalls Manager. So any calls that have been recorded, yet again, you can click on that icon and it'll go off and play that call for you. Have a look at the call recording video. You'll find it extremely informative. It is PCI compliant, so if you are taking credit card information over the phone, we can pause the call while that action's taking place. The next thing that is creeping up upon us, well, it's been here for a while now, is the GDPR. So a caller wants the right to be forgotten. How do we deal with that? Relatively easy. We go to the system tab here, remove personal information. We input the telephone number of the caller. Okay, we do a search on that number, and we can see that this number has been called in 1,120 times, and we've phoned them back 23 times. Now, if I want to delete that information, the call data, as well as the recording, that's what this will do. So if I press delete, I'm going to get a second option saying, are you really sure this needs to happen? Obviously, I'm not going to press yes because I need this data for another presentation. In this instance, I'm going to click no. But that is how easy it is to get rid of the call data and the call recording in a GDPR event. Okay, and that just leads me to show you some other templates. So we have a template situation here, the default one. We can name it whatever we want. We've got a sales template. So yeah, again, we may be seeing different things that are happening from an agent perspective or an incoming call perspective. If we bring a call in now, you can see it's actually ringing on extension 200. We can see Steve's unavailable, and you can see Jason's now unavailable because he didn't answer the call. And as events happen, regardless if it's unavailable, internal, external, it will all give you the visibility of who's been doing something for the longest amount of time, which in a call center is extremely important. If you want to have a tile that just gives you a bit of an overview of what's happening, you can actually see that Jason's actually answered 9 calls today. However, it's actually rang at his desk 10 times, okay, and he hasn't answered it, and his total duration is 7 minutes and 41 seconds. Now, you see here the abandon rate is 30. Well, we already established that in the contact center it wasn't that, but we're actually seeing on all trunks. So that's the sales line, the support line, the main number. Yet again, it's all about providing that real-time information that's going to empower you to do something about it. Let me have another look at another tile. Template, I should say. So yet again, some basic information that we haven't populated. If we see here on the right hand side, it's another email regarding something is not quite right. I can hit this little icon here that flips from one template to another. So that makes my life a lot easier. So going back, let's have a summary and call this a wrap. So there we go. Some key takeaways for you to summarize. MyCalls Call Centre, real-time information equals power. Something's not quite right, you're in control, you can change it. Whether that's changing the skill of an agent, whether that's taking an agent out of one queue and putting them into another, or rescheduling the type of calls that that agent should be taking at that period of time on that particular date. It gives you the ability to do that. Templates, as I mentioned, they can be as busy as you want or as sparse as you want. You can have multiple templates that just automatically rolls. The management views could be totally different to the supervisors. The management team may want to see everything in the business that's happening, but the supervisors just want to see what's happening in their department. Not a problem at all. That management by exception, ensuring that your KPIs and your service level agreements to yourself are never compromised by putting that information into the telephone system, into the software. You're going to know when things are not quite right, allowing you and the supervisors to take control today, right now, on the fly. Not in 12 hours, 24 hours time, when that information traditionally will come from another package. We deal with real time, allowing you to make those changes. There are hundreds of reports that can be scheduled to go to your printer or into your inbox, and also custom reports are available. It's always a good idea to understand what type of reports that you want and consult with your NEC partner to ensure that those reports already exist. If not, they can make you some custom reports to meet your requirements. So supervisor control, on-the-fly changes, helping you to respond, make those changes instantly, has to be a good thing. You don't have to be an expert in telecommunications or an expert programmer. This is all very easy to use, and it all works within a few clicks. So with that said, I'd like to thank you all for your time. If you do have any further questions, please reach out to your NEC channel manager or NEC representative. My name is Mark Rotherham. Have a great day and speak to you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.